Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Tom Lee, one of the world's best stock market predictor, has just predicted that the stock market of US will go through a 10-year bull run from now. And that's a very gutsy prediction. Let's watch on the details of what he's saying, and more importantly, what are his underlying assumptions and how far it will go. Let's watch on, shall we? So the title of my talk today is Tom Lee predicts a 10-year bull run. And let's not forget how spot on he was on the August numbers. And let's watch on. So these are my usual disclaimers. This presentation is not financial advice. It's for education, entertainment only. And remember to hit subscribe and so that you will not miss all this important breaking news. And trust me, you don't want to miss any of my videos and my live stream. So the S&P 500 has just broke through 6,500 points, and that's pretty remarkable. Now, the S&P 500 was able to reach this new high of 6,500 because there was stronger than expected US economic data, and this drives the entire momentum up. Now, 6,500 points is a all-time high, and we think that the whole market will continue to go on a higher and a higher and a higher bull run. So what drove this 6,500 points rally is largely that the GDP, the previous number was 3% growth, has been revised up to 3.3% annualized. And that's pretty remarkable. And this increase was largely driven by a lot of business investment. And there is a lot of money that are pouring into R&D, into software, especially into artificial intelligence in a big way. And there's also an increased spending in consumer spending on equipment, consumer service. And interestingly, the trade flows right now are in US favor right now. There is a significant fall in imports right now. So, all this culminated to a higher GDP number. The 6,500 S&P number was an earlier prediction that was done by Tom Lee. A few weeks ago, Tom Lee actually said that this month the S&P 500 is most likely to cross 6,004 to 6,500. And it was a prediction that was widely dismissed as overly bullish. And yet, yesterday night, it has just crossed. And that's a pretty remarkable prediction. Now, a lot of people can predict something that's very, very far. And Ms. Lu will say that S&P 500 will exceed 7,800 points in 10 years' time. This one, Uncle also know how to predict. But to say that the S&P 500 will cross 6,500 when it was 6,300 or 6,200, oh, that's quite a difficult prediction to make. And he actually could predict that. Now he's going to adjust his short-term prediction to a very, very long-term prediction to beyond 10 years time, right? And that's a pretty difficult thing to predict, to say that there'll be a 10-year bull run. Now, how did he come up with this 10-year bull run? Well, the details of it is that there is going to be demographic change, and he actually says that every of this bull run peak at when the demographics of the earlier generation they are reaching significant financial wealth actually peak. So millennials, okay, they're entering birth market somewhere in the 80s and 90s. Right now, they're going to peak somewhere at 2035. No, so that's a 10-year cycle. So they will drive the entire stock market up with high consumer demand and so on. And he also thinks that the structural equity shift, the household wealth will now move gradually now towards stock in a big way. And his prediction of 7 trillion cash that are sitting in the money market will start moving towards equity market. I think that's a gutsy prediction. And not to forget, he's a perpetual bull on AI, blockchain, and mentioned in passing healthcare and fintech whatsoever. All these changes are happening in a big way, and this will drive the entire wealth creation in a substantial way. And right now, there's a lot of large investors that were badly shocked by some of this COVID and the great inflation, and still, kind of cannot come to terms that right now the stock market is going at this incredible bull run. So a lot of them are still underweighted, and one day they will suddenly wake up and they quickly rush into it. All this will drive the stock market up. Now let's not forget that he actually said that there is a very strong artificial intelligence revolution, and that also spreads across other sectors as well in terms of innovation. Now, he mentioned before that if you look at mobile phone kind of growth, the internet space kind of growth, right? All those took many years. And if you were to look at it, when the mobile phone came about, there's hardly, millions of subscribers, until we reach a peak. At a peak right now, I think the mobile phone adoption is in the billions right now, right? Maybe 5 or 6 billion. To where it started maybe in 1999 or year 2000 or so, where mobile phones were still in its infancy. That took probably 20 years for it to reach a peak. Now, today, ChatGPT plus other AI, I think the adoption is maybe at most, a few 100 million or something like that. For it to reach billions, right? The pathway is still very long, and there could be many mega multiples. So he's one of thing he's saying is that will lead to a 10-year bull run, along with other innovation as well. And I'm a big believer of it. I'm betting on this AI transformation. We have got companies now set up to capture this AI space, and I spend a lot of time educating everybody. Almost every night in my live stream, I'll educate 1 to 2 application on live stream. For those people who have participated in live stream, you will surely learn a lot from me. Here is also a very important announcement. We have a AI mastery course that is for elementary level, right? Elementary level. If you don't know what button to press, don't know much about artificial intelligence, you're struggling even to understand the basics of it, please join us. Mr. Wu will level you up rapidly so that at least you reach a level where you can catch up with other people. So please join us for this course. Please scan the QR code here to register. The price is only $99.99, and you'll be in Lifelong Learning Institute. We don't have many tickets left. Yesterday, I was in passing, did a soft launch, and that almost completely sold out. We're left with only a pockets of tickets. I don't want everybody to say I never announced it, so I'm announcing it right now. I don't think there will be more tickets by tomorrow. So going back to the talk, what we have right now with the 10-year bull run that Tom Lee is predicting is basically that 92 million millennials, people born in the 80s and 90s, are reaching prime earning periods, spending a hell of money, and this will drive the entire stock market up. There's going to be a lot of wealth transfer from the baby boomers to a younger generation by 2030 or so. And these are new generation that will be able to capture all this technology renovation in a big way. So all these were set to drive the entire stock market higher and higher and higher. Now, we're not saying that there is no volatility and risk in between, but this 10 years, what he's saying is that it's going to go up and up, with possibly some bumps along the way. Now, could it be, this thing just go up non-stop and there's no risk? Well, of course, there's risk, right? Right now, we are looking at price earning ratio pretty stretched. Okay, that's something that we need to be concerned with, and then that the debt level at a global level and also in the US is still very high. Donald Trump could bring that down potentially, and he say he's going to, but it's still high. The trade war and geopolitics have now changed. Luckily, it's came down to a level that's kind of at least no more war. But what does it mean moving forward? We haven't seen the full impact. And all the bubbles are happening. If you watched my video yesterday, the bubbles are bubbling right now. Although not in a big mega bubble yet, but the bubbles are bubbling right now. And we certainly are concerned about some of these things that can happen. So US market is certainly growing rapidly. From an economic point of view, from a stock market point of view, everybody agree to that. It doesn't mean the rest of the world are also experiencing that kind of rapid growth. Right now, Germany is registering a negative GDP. The news just came out. And we anticipate that some of the countries are going to be hit by US tariff. They're going to not do so well as well. So this is a regime that US is going to do well. We're not too sure about rest of the world. Now, this is an interesting trajectory that Tom Lee could possibly lead to. By this month, we already crossed 6,500, and I think there were earlier prediction that it could even hit 7,000 by end of the year. I don't think that's far-fetched anymore. Now, 2027, could it reach 8,500? I think that's a possibility. I didn't say that's a certainty. But if you then extrapolate the same level of growth, you could see 11,200 by 2030. And by 10 years' time, we could easily see 15,000 which is about 1.3 times from right now. And this represents a 9% growth rate, excluding dividends. And 9% growth rate is just historical growth rate, right? So you can see numbers going higher and higher, all the way maybe to 15,000 by 2035. I think this is a path that I think it's possible and is highly possible, but not without hiccups and volatility along the way. Take this projection with a pinch of salt, and anything could happen. But I think this is a bullish kind of expectation. So conclusion, the decade ahead looks very exciting. Valuation, the S&P 500 at 6,500 yesterday was amazing prediction by Tom Lee, and he was spot on correct. And could there be a 10-year bull run? Well, let's watch and see. And the underlying drive, a lot of it is driven by AI, demographic change, and a lot of capital redeployment from outside the stock market into the stock market, and so on. So the outlook look extremely bullish. Let's watch and see it carefully, and see whether all this will come to pass. Thank you for joining me, and potentially I'll see you tonight in a live stream, okay, where we share much more about things happening in the stock market and even our AI space. I'll see you tonight. Bye bye.